Ezekiel 26, 1 through 21. Devotional focus verse. With the hoofs of his horses shall he tread down all thy streets. He shall slay thy people by the sword, and thy strong garrison shall go down to the ground. And they shall make a spoil of thy riches, and make a prey of thy merchandise. And they shall break down thy walls, and destroy thy pleasant houses. And they shall lay thy stones and thy timber and thy dust in the midst of the water. Ezekiel 26, 11 through 12. In May of 1919, Adelaide Travis, an American Red Cross worker serving on the Western Front during World War I, wrote home from France. We went to the front a week ago today, to Montdidiers, Amiens, Albert, Lens, Arras, Quentin, and back through the Forest of Compaigne. There is no use in my trying to describe the destruction and desolation up there. No description, picture, or amount of imagination would give you any idea of it. I was awfully shocked, and after seeing it all, I marvel that any of them are alive to tell what they have been through. It was just a tiny part of the British front that we saw, but it has made a lasting impression on me that will last as long as I live. Adelaide's letter is one of hundreds of letters, photographs, and artifacts displayed in the National World War I Museum and Memorial in Kansas City, Missouri. Many American soldiers who took part in the defense of Europe during the Great War gave similar descriptions. They told of devastation on an unfathomable scale, bombed cities, villages so obliterated that only rubble remained, vast cemeteries, and huge swaths of landscape that looked like an uninhabited planet. The descriptions of war-ravaged Europe during World War I sound similar to the devastation of the city of Tyre, prophesied by Ezekiel in today's text. Our key verses relate that when God sent judgment, Tyre's fortresses would be broken down, her people slain, her riches plundered, and the homes within her walls destroyed. What a graphic picture of destruction and desolation. The main sins of Tyre were pride and materialism. Its people were self-sufficient and intent upon obtaining riches and all the pleasures and benefits those riches could supply. Scripture does not record that Tyre dealt dishonestly or aggressively with Judah. However, when Nebuchadnezzar conquered Judah, Tyre rejoiced in the fate that had befallen her competitor because it enhanced her control over commerce in the eastern Mediterranean. In response, Ezekiel's oracle against Tyre foretold that God would one day judge and punish this proud city, and she would be demolished. Like other Ezekiel oracles, this one offered reassurance to Israel that God controls the destinies of the world's nations. Israel's foes would eventually be abased, and Israel restored to greatness in God's plan. It is good to remember that Scripture tells us all nations and people will one day be humbled before God, and only the righteous will enjoy His eternal blessings. The judgment that fell upon Tyre should both warn and encourage all who fear God. Background information. This chapter of Ezekiel continues the section that began in chapter 25, which proclaims judgment on 7 nations around Judah. The focus of Ezekiel 26:1 through 28:19 is on Tyre. Tyrus, referred to as Tyre in other places in the Bible, was a principal city of Phoenicia and was located about 35 miles north of Carmel in what is now Lebanon. The city was built in 2 sections, with one part on the mainland and the other on the rocky island about a half-mile away. This position made it a major commercial hub. Tyre competed with Judah for the lucrative trade of the region, with Tyre dominating the sea trade and Judah controlling the caravan routes at the time of Ezekiel's prophecy. The 11th year mentioned in verse 1 refers to the 11th year of the reign of Zedekiah, which was the year in which Jerusalem fell. Most Bible scholars feel these prophecies regarding Tyre were given shortly after the fall of Jerusalem because they revealed Tyre's joy at the fall of their trade competitor. Nations coming up against Tyre, as the sea causeth his waves to come up, see verse 3, would have been a vivid imagery to the inhabitants of this seaport city, who were familiar with the destructive power of ocean waves. Just as waves are repetitive and unending, so would nations continue to war against Tyre over a span of time, including Nebuchadnezzar, Alexander the Great, and others. Since Tyre was a seemingly impregnable city, with a history of 2,300 years as a formidable fortress and walls up to 150 feet high, the proclamation that it would experience the ruin described in verses 4 through 5 must have seemed incomprehensible to those who heard it. Daughters in the field, see verse 6, refers to villages in the area that would suffer destruction similar to that of Tyre. Verses 8 through 14 depict a progressing battle, with outlying villages defeated first. Ezekiel prophesied that Nebuchadnezzar would then cast a mount, or erect a siege mound, to overthrow the city. Engines of war refer to battering rams used to breach the city's walls. These were moved into place by the incoming army. These verses describe the carnage and chaos that would ensue as the army entered the city, and fighting that would move from street to street and from dwelling to dwelling. Verse 14 summarizes by giving a word picture of destruction so complete that even the soil is stripped away, leaving bare rock only suitable as a place for mending nets. In fulfillment of verse 21, history records that ancient Tyre was indeed so completely annihilated that its exact location is uncertain. Although the area remained vacant for some time, eventually a city arose near the same site. Conclusion. Like the proud city of Tyre, one day all ungodly nations and individuals will be judged by God. Let us prepare now to escape that fate.
Ezekiel chapter 26. And it came to pass in the 11th year, in the first day of the month, that the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, because that Tyrus hath said against Jerusalem, Aha, she is broken that was the gates of the people, she is turned unto me, I shall be replenished, now she is laid waste. Therefore thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O Tyrus, and will cause many nations to come up against thee, as the sea causeth his waves to come up. And they shall destroy the walls of Tyrus, and break down her towers, I will also scrape her dust from her, and make her like the top of a rock. It shall be a place for the spreading of nets in the midst of the sea, for I have spoken it, saith the Lord God, and it shall become a spoil to the nations. And her daughters which are in the field shall be slain by the sword, and they shall know that I am the Lord. For thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I will bring upon Tyrus Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, a king of kings, from the north, with horses, and with chariots, and with horsemen, and companies, and much people. He shall slay with the sword thy daughters in the field, and he shall make a fort against thee, and cast a mount against thee, and lift up the buckler against thee. And he shall set engines of war against thy walls, and with his axes he shall break down thy towers. By reason of the abundance of his horses their dust shall cover thee, thy walls shall shake at the noise of the horsemen, and of the wheels, and of the chariots, when he shall enter into thy gates, as men enter into a city wherein is made a breach. With the hoofs of his horses shall he tread down all thy streets, he shall slay thy people by the sword, and thy strong garrisons shall go down to the ground. And they shall make a spoil of thy riches, and make a prey of thy merchandise, and they shall break down thy walls, and destroy thy pleasant houses, and they shall lay thy stones and thy timber and thy dust in the midst of the water. And I will cause the noise of thy songs to cease, and the sound of thy harps shall be no more heard. And I will make thee like the top of a rock, thou shalt be a place to spread nets upon, thou shalt be built no more, for I the Lord have spoken it, saith the Lord God. Thus saith the Lord God to Tyrus, shall not the isles shake at the sound of thy fall, when the wounded cry, when the slaughter is made in the midst of thee? Then all the princes of the sea shall come down from their thrones, and lay away their robes, and put off their broidered garments, they shall clothe themselves with trembling, they shall sit upon the ground, and shall tremble at every moment, and be astonished at thee. And they shall take up a lamentation for thee, and say to thee, how art thou destroyed, that wast inhabited of seafaring men, the renowned city, which was strong in the sea, she and her inhabitants, which caused their terror to be on all that haunt it. Now shall the isles tremble in the day of thy fall, yea, the isles that are in the sea shall be troubled at thy departure. For thus saith the Lord God, when I shall make thee a desolate city, like the cities that are not inhabited, when I shall bring up the deep upon thee, and great waters shall cover thee. When I shall bring thee down with them that descend into the pit, with the people of old time, and shall set thee in the low parts of the earth, in places desolate of old, with them that go down to the pit, that thou be not inhabited, and I shall set glory in the land of the living. I will make thee a terror, and thou shalt be no more, though thou be sought for, yet shalt thou never be found again, saith the Lord God.